So it's very exciting. So, and this is my home base. So they are the people, on the audience and behind the scenes, behind me. And without them, I cannot be here. And this film cannot be showing in this Silicon Valley. So Cinequest, it is our home, which is where this film belongs to. And I want especially to introduce Jay Xu is the director of the San Francisco Asian Art Museum, and he's also in our audience. Would you please stand? So. Have been, visit Asian Art Museum in San Francisco. So that is a museum, it's only museum in the United States, has the biggest collection of Zhang Datian's painting. In 1972, and Asian Art Museum is one to give the first living artist, Zhang Datian, for 40 years retrospect exhibition. So this film is presented in Asian Art Museum in February 2nd, and also here in Silicon Valley where I lived, my home, and all my friends and supporters behind me right here is very meaningful. It's extremely, it's touching for me, for all of you being here, be with me, be part of this journey. So I know you have a...
Yeah, thank you. I have just a couple questions, and then we'll have questions from the audience. Beginning of the movie, you said that you were going through some canisters of film at San Francisco State, and you came across some film with the artist. What made you go looking through cans of film, and why did this project become so important to you that it ended up taking up 12 years of your life?
It's a good question, and though I've been answering these questions many times, so I like to share, I think everything happened for a reason. So the moment when I discovered this, hidden films, there's the piles of the 16mm films has been hidden in, it's not really hidden, it's just no one really pay attention. It is stored, preserved in art department, and Professor Mark Johnson, who's also featured in the film, and there's just one day, 12 years ago, and he popped me up, so as I'm teaching San Francisco State University, and he asked me, he said, Weimin, do you know Zhang Datian? I think, of course I know Zhang Datian. Everybody from China, from mainland know Zhang Datian. But he said, okay, I want to share something with you. So for so many years, this film has been with me for 27 years. So that actually, before that, there's another story, has 20-some years. And he brought me to his office and the bottom of his bookshelf, and he handed to me this kind of film. And it's probably not very easy for people to project 60mm film nowadays. Even though we're a filmmaker, I happen to be in cinema, so I projected in the classroom, so I was shocked. I think it's unbelievable. How could I not know, as an art background, before I went to study film, I studied art, so how could I not know Zhang Datian is in California? And he said, yes, Zhang Datian is in California, but that was 1967. I think, what happened before 1967? After 1949, he said, well, he was in South America. He was in Argentina, he was in Brazil. I think, how could I not even know such a great artist? He's the foremost Chinese artist in 20th century. But no one seems to know or seems to have that deep intention to search what's going on, what happened to his life after he left China. So for some reason, I feel like it's became a designate. So it's a mission. So I think now I have this film. This film is the same age like me. So it has to be, I exposed my name. So it has to be for a reason why it's come to me. Because Mark Johnson said, for so many years, I've been looking for American filmmakers, even in cinema. There's no one from China, no one knows about Zhang Daqin. I cannot find anyone who knows Zhang Daqin, but now it is yours. Do something with that. But I think, okay, what is about background? Anything South America said nothing. You're on your own. So that is time, that's a day I determined. I think this film coming to my hand is heavy. It means a lot to me. And this part of history needed to be, the blank should be filled. And people, the Chinese audience, the Chinese people, the world should know about this artist. If you think about when people are talking about Picasso, talking about Van Gogh, there's tons of movies and films and books, but they even regard Zhang Daqin as the Picasso of China, but no one really know his life, after he left. So I think this something have to be done. But I have a very limited resources, as a professor teaching at university. So the only thing what I have, I feel like being designated also as not being filmmaker, but also I'm cinematographer. I can grab the camera, just get on the road, film as many as people I could while they're still living, they're still alive. So I have to say, I'm so grateful that I started early and have so many people who support me, especially Zhang Daqin's family. So at the end, if you see the 8 people during the 12 years passed away, including 4 Zhang Daqin's close children who lived with him, 2 daughters and 2 sons passed away. And his friend, his disciple, and many people who had first-hand relations and connections with him, so they are no longer in this world. So, but I hope, by this humble film, I'm so grateful that they provide their precious memories and the stories shared with me, and I could share to the world. Yeah, that's just a little too long. Sorry.
Will your next movie be a documentary about you making the film? Because, I want to know, like, you spent 12 years researching this, but you said that you had started in before that. And so, how did you put the film together? You traveled to so many countries. I spoke to some of your associates before the movie. They said that you paid for this all by yourself. You didn't have, people, you didn't have the university or a grant pay for anything. Where did you know how to start? You went to so many different countries. There's such a big history after the artist left China. How did you know where to start? How did you get all that vintage video and interviews? What was that like?
You ask an amazing question. It is a great question. It is impossible. So it is unlike any other films that I made in my whole life, unlike any other filmmakers making film. I don't have a script. I don't have a map. So I learned that during the pandemic, I started writing with the great runners, heroes, and my admirers right here in our audience. I learned that there's ultra marathon. So, and they have a navigation, they have target, they have a destination, they have a, I don't have an end, so that's a problem. I don't know. I didn't know how to start, where to start. So I feel like I'm in the ocean looking for the needles or something, looking for the puzzles and through all over the world. So the only thing I know is that when I find a little clue, I just jump into there and to capture. So the first one I start filming is Zhang Daqin's son, Paul, so who's still living in Carmel in Pebble Beach. So that was the first time. I got him, and through him, and went to, I just feel like along the way, somehow, I'm not alone. There's not only the people who along my running, so I'm running the, ultra marathon without map, in the desert. So I just feel there's people start running with me. When I look back, there's a lot of people running with me. They said, "Oh, you need a water? Here's a piece of water. Here's a, I run with you." So I have a pacer. I have people sending along the way. They give me water. They support me through the donations. So there's so many great gracious generous support from audience, from all of you. And there's many people through the world that are actually supporting me. So, I don't know where I'm running to. I don't know how long it takes me to pieces of this whole journey together. But there's one click, I would say probably climax of my journey. It's the one day in 2015. As soon as I stepped into Brazil, in the ruins of Badoyuan. So that is through the journalism. Glammy is also featured in the film, and he actually dropped in line because I had the website. He said, "Okay, I want to see how far where you film. Can I see something?" And so we started talking. He said, I asked him the first question, "Do you know where Badoyuan is?" He said, "Of course I know." So I said, "Okay, I come to Brazil." So I jump on the plane myself because all the time when I don't have money, I have myself. I just need to, I have to say, Zhang Daqian picked the right person because I do have my paycheck just as a teaching. So he picked really right person, and I'm the one from not only mentioned from art background, but also that at least can support me, have a flight ticket and have a cheap place to live. So I just get there, and I'm myself a cinematographer. I don't have to hire anybody. But also advantage is as a professor, I have students everywhere. So I called, I think, "Hey, Hita, where are you?" He said, "I'm in Rio." So I think I have this film. He said, "Okay, how am I going to help?" I think, "Come to me, you have everything. Translator, AD, camera assistant, sound recording." I think you're the everything. Even though I never teach my students that way, but this is only she and me. And we did the first time, the shoot. And that's a moment as soon as I get into Badoyuan, even though it's ruined, but you see the rocks, right? You see the ruins. When I step onto, magically, I feel the connection internally, spiritually with Zhang Daqian. I know I'm not alone, and he's with me. So that's why in my films throughout this 12 years journey, I often say a line called Weimin Zhang. It's just like somehow he's talking to me. He said, everything's happened, and there's for reason. There's for this is reason. So, and that's the reason why. That's really gave me the clue. So that's a hint. So even though when I get up in the middle of the night and I found something happening, and magically there's people all over the world helping me, and the German, they find me. So it's not I find them, they actually come to me. That's really helped me to achieve this, this mission impossible. I think I have a very short time.
No, thank you. That was a great answer. Thank you. Okay, we only have a couple more minutes. Is there questions from the audience? Yes, right here. Just yell it, I will repeat.
You are, okay. I'm not a good runner, so forgive me if I'm not coming to the second in the morning at 6:30. I can make 10 films after this. What do I do?
How did you decide to stop them and do the movie?
That's also, yeah. After pandemic, so everything, 12 years in Chinese culture, it's a luohui, it's a circle. So when the moment happened, so for 3 years pandemic is my meditation year. So that is time I start deeply researching because I cannot travel. I cannot just grab camera and get on the plane. So that's a good thing actually in a way. I start deeply studying why Zhang Daqian doing this. Doesn't make sense. Argentina is the furthest country from China. 33 hours through the plane. Take 55 days to the ship. So why he chose such remote areas? Doesn't make sense. So I studied Chinese traditional culture, of course, Tao Yuanming, Su Dongpo's life, and Wang Wei's life. Every single thing make perfect sense. That 3 years meditation slowly closed the door, closed the circle. And also during that time, Zoom also helped me Before, I just had to go to in person for Zoom. But now, I found the friends, I found Chanuski, Eric, I found the German, I found the brothers. I found a lot of the great archival facts, the information. I started doing Zoom interview once, twice, and even more times. As soon as the travel opened, that was actually 2022. That's just as soon as it's in May. So I think I want to go to exactly what Rhine River cruise that Zhang Daqian did, because he, the brothers and sister provide that footage to me. So I already know where my camera is. I know what exactly the question I'm gonna ask, superimpose the landscape and everything. So I have everything in my mind. So once I get there, 2 weeks, I know I get pieces together. So that's my last piece. So that I know the time I can close, and it's great. So the film was presented, was interesting. So that's also not my arrangement. You know how film festival runs. I submit this film to São Paulo, the biggest film festival, São Paulo International Film Festival in Brazil. It's the biggest film festival in Brazil. But that's the first one. He selected me, said, I want to invite your film, and you come to the film festival. So I think, okay, no matter what, it's a great share. It's a world premiere in Brazil, Zhang Daqian's hometown overseas that he lived for 20 years, which is amazing. It's not my arrangement, it must be Zhang Daqian arranged that. And secondly, and I know I want to share this with his homeland, with the majority of the Chinese audience. So, and I did a plan for Hong Kong, because Hong Kong is the gateway. During all his overseas journey, every time he meet and the reunion, that's all through that place. But there's the biggest Chinese international documentary film festival is Guangzhou, right? I did submit, but I wasn't sure. I don't know how that climate works, but I did submit anyway. So magically, both film festivals won the best feature film award. I think that might be that. Anyway, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. I have more questions.
I have a question regarding you could do a very, very good elaborations of the life of Zhang Daqian, especially his life in Brazil, the Bado Yuan. However, a quick question regarding his later life after that. You mentioned briefly about his life in Monterey. He bought 2 houses there, He Yiju and Huanbian.
Yes.
Yeah, and then later on he moved on to Taipei. Right. Yeah. But those part of life is only lightly touched in your documentation. So kind of wondering, somebody already asked when you make the cut of this part of his life. Are you going to continue with his documentation of his work?
As I mentioned, I definitely could. So I have 200 hours of footage. I can make 10 films. So it's just because, but the majority, this film is focused on South America part, because that's unknown. That's a complete unknown. Like you already know partially in Huanbian, He Yiju, Moye Jingshe, people has already researched, and you can find some clues about his life in California. But for South America, that's a completely unknown history. So that's my priority. So yes, I can continue. I can definitely make a film about California part and also in Taiwan. Yes. Answer your question.
You know what, guys? Our time is up. I'm so sorry. They want us to vacate the auditorium. Will you be able to go in the hall and talk to some people? Please, let's continue the conversation in the hallway. Thank you so much. Don't forget about our social.